There's a lot of talk these days about trying to help kids. And we hear words, some of which have to do with the cultivation of the strengths that lead to outward capability, grit, determination, persistence. And then we also hear about other valuable strengths that have to do with the deep virtues in life, forgiveness, commitment. Right? These words and deep assets in children are indeed a pathway to contribution and meaning. But it appears that they actually come as blossoms on the rhododendron with deep roots. And the deep roots are in spiritual life. Let me explain this, our first scientific table. This is a sample of about 3,000 late adolescents and emerging adults. And from here over are listed all of our popular culture's favorite character strengths. Gratitude, that's very important. Optimism, grit, meaning, the building blocks of outward contribution and inner purpose. And what we see is that if you're the blue child, to the extent that you have a good deal of gratitude compared to the next guy, you also tend to have a good deal of optimism and grit and meaning. That for the blue child, all these good things come bundled together. And we meet that child and we say, that is a good kid. Right? And then there's the yellow child, who's kind of in the middle and has some grit and some optimism. But science seems to be saying that all these nice strengths come bundled together. Now, here in this room, we love the blue kid, we love the purple kid, we love the yellow kid, but we also love the red kid, the child who's low in grit and low in optimism and low in the traits that are going to lead to outward capacity and inner meaning. We love that child just as much. And so it's of great interest how we can move from the red line up to the blue line. Because as we know, inner life is constantly changing and we can constantly grow. And herein lies where science has just very recently offered some look deep under the soil into the roots of the rhododendron. This last variable here is the bedrock, is the roots. And this says down here that to the extent that a child experiences every day as a spiritual experience, I turn to God for guidance in times of difficulty. I see other people as coming into my life with meaning. I see my life as having spiritual significance. Life is a spiritual event. To the extent that the child feels that, all else unfolds. For 85% of children, strengths and virtues go hand in hand with a deep spiritual orientation, a spiritual hub. And all other lines of development follow from the foundation of the spiritual hub. For 85% of children. There is an exception, as we are marvelously always diverse. There are children who, on the bell curve of spiritual attunement, simply are wired to feel somewhat less connected. And those children have the same size soul, but a smaller size pickup tuning fork. And they are virtuous humanists. This purple child, 15%, is a virtuous humanist. It's important to know who our child is. 85% of the time, the child can build these strengths and assets to the extent that we engage their spiritual bearing. There are some children who build their bearings out of the space between people, humanism.